All right, we're starting off a fresh wipe of Greyhack. The game doesn't have very many tutorials or guides for it. You can find a little bit on YouTube, so I figured I'd start right from the basics. Let's go right from starting a new game to getting onto a Wi-Fi network to setting up your computer, getting through your first mission, setting up your email, your bank account, and renting a server, and all the sort of beginning steps that you need to take for getting started. Alright, let's go. I'm just doing this on single player right now just so I can show you some of the basic stuff because I have a multiplayer game going and I really don't feel like wiping it to start at the beginning. And this is it. When you load the game, you get a Linux computer. It does give you a Wi-Fi, but what fun is that? Let's look into getting our own. So, which one? It gives you Masco. We're gonna try for another one of these. eCoreMe, Audiert, T80. They got a lot of really strange names in the game. These have a little bit of a higher percentage of strength also on the Wi-Fi signal, but we will keep Masco also. We'll just keep adding to this list when we find Wi-Fi's and passwords. That way, if we ever need to switch between them, we can switch between where we're connected to. So, first things first, let's take a look around. We have our file explorer. This is basically the file structure on your computer. This is the user that you're in right now. We're in Infinite KR. That's my user. 3K, I guess. I forgot the R. I don't know, whatever. And then you go back to your main root directory, and this has your binary files, programs, your user binaries. These are all the different applications that you have. You got your library files, password file, system log files, all that good stuff. So this is where you sort of download all your stuff to make your file folders and configurations on here. Then you have your terminal. This is your computer right here. If you're familiar with Linux at all, you run most of your stuff through the terminal, which we're going to get into some of the basic commands and everything. We're going to start right at square one here for people who haven't played the game, because like I said, there really isn't much of a tutorial. You're just sort of throwing in, your computer's loaded up, and here you go. Next we have the map. So this here will show you anything you're connected to. If you have any SSH into computers, you can save them on here so you can quick connect to them. It just sort of shows you where they are, whatever. If you don't know what SSH is, don't worry, we'll get into that eventually too. Then you have your mail. So it's going to ask you for a username and password. Right now we don't have one because we don't have a mail account. You got your browser. This is your internet access. But again, we're not connected to the Wi-Fi, so we don't have internet access at this time. Notepad, pretty self-explanatory. You can do your notes, save, open. It does have a manual here, which can take you a few little first steps in getting started. Nothing too crazy though. Terminal programs, if you don't know any basic commands, these are all your basic commands for your terminal for Linux, which we will use practically as we go through this. About the different servers, SSH, FTP, web servers, different permissions, adding in, you can add users to your computer, you can add groups, passwords, security. So like I said, not very much. Has the basics, but it's going to get a little more in depth than that. Then you have a code editor. This is where you can start editing or writing your own custom scripts. This is going to be covered in a few more advanced tutorials. I don't know if we're going to quite get into here right in the beginning. Maybe I'll show you off the bat, but we will get into this eventually. This is, you can totally write scripts to do whatever you need, whatever you want them to do. It's a pretty in-depth game. And our gift.txt, which I'm not going to use here. So like I said, let's get onto one of these networks here. I'm going to load our terminal. And we should have, we've got Airmon, AirPlay, AirCrack. So air, we run Airmon. And we will see that our interface, WLAN 0, that's our Wi-Fi interface, our Wi-Fi card, is a monitor mode false. So first of all, we're going to want to set that to true. So I'm going to do Airmon WLAN 0 and true. Okay, so that's not Airmon. Start WLAN 0. All right, so now that we have done that, we've enabled our, we have set our Wi-Fi interface on the monitor mode, which is going to be able to scan for networks in the area. Then we're going to do AirPlay. IW list. IW list WLAN 0. So this is going to give you the networks, Wi-Fi networks that your Wi-Fi interface is picking up currently. And what we're going to do is we are going to go for, let's try this one here. It's got the biggest signal strength. We'll go for AirPlay -B. ESSID, and then we're going to do a -E for the ESSID. And you can't copy a Control-C, Control-V in the actual terminal. You got to highlight, you got to do the right click and right click paste. So right now it's sending packets. We're going to wait for some handshakes. Once we get enough handshakes, we can end this, and then we can track it. So I'm going to try to wait till about 10,000. Usually that fine works. The more handshakes it gets, the higher chance of cracking the Wi-Fi. Again, I want to reiterate, this is only a game. This isn't to be used in real life scenarios. But we're almost there. Neat. Could probably stop here. Just gonna make sure I get it. I don't have to sit and go through this again. 9. And to stop it, you can just hit Control-C. Running anything in the terminal, Control-C always stops it. There we go, and you'll see up here, file.cap is saved. So now when we run AirCrack, it's gonna, if I just hit enter right now, it's gonna say AirCrack file.cap. So we just go to Eric Crack, and then we do file.cap for when it's saved. Key found. There we go. Gourd Fizz. So if I'm going to go to my Wi-Fi access, let's go. Keep everything the same. We'll keep it like that. We're going to go. And password that it cracked is Gourdfist. See a lot of weird passwords and names on here, and I will save that. So now we can either clear, you can clear a terminal just by typing the word clear. We will connect to here, and password is Gourdfist. Just like that, Wi-Fi connected. So now when we go to our browser, close this down, now we have a browser. There's a few things that you're going to need to do right off the bat. That is setting up an email address, which you can type email. It's, there's some really weird names. Let's go with Asberg Dybach, maybe. I don't know. Really matter. Dybach. Email service. Choose a username. Let's go. Out. All right, so now it says I email received. So now when you go to your email, we have an email. You know what? I'm going to turn off streaming preferences for this just because it is a single player game, so I really don't care if people see my IPs and stuff like that. So this guy right off the bat says, I've been watching you for a while. I think we can do business together. Visit my website. And he gives you an IP address. Before we go there, though, there's another thing we're going to want to do right off the bat, and that is get a bank account. So let's go to diamond.org. Let's register email address and password. Create account. There it is. Log in, and I am loaded. Current balance $0. You can also go up to your preferences up here and click accounts, and it'll always show you your accounts there. Also, too, in preferences, you can go to hardware installation. It's going to show you sort of what you have. You can switch it in and out on your computer. You can click on each one here and see currently what you have installed on your machine. We're going to start off with some pretty low-end stuff right now. 1 gigahertz, low quality, 128 mega RAM, got 350 megabyte hard drive, and 100 watt power supply. So we're not starting off with anything too special, but this will be upgraded. A lot of times I don't really upgrade my home PC. I usually rent a server and run everything through the server, so I tend to start with that one a little bit more than I do my home PC. But it's nice to at least upgrade your RAM on here, because you can only, if I try to open everything right here, let's just try to keep going here. Right here it says I cannot open the program, there's not enough RAM available. Close some programs and try again. So once you upgrade your RAM, you can have more stuff running and not run into that issue. So now we have an email, we have a bank account. We are going to first set up some things on our computer before we visit that IP. We're going to go to the shop. You just type in shop. In multiplayer mode, you're going to see all kinds of web pages come up, player created web pages, because it is a PvP type MMO type setup, so you can't actually web servers and other players can log on. But for now, when you type it, it's just they're pretty much all the same. It just gives you. Now we go to shop. You'll be able to buy different softwares on here, as well as you'll be able to buy different hardware configurations. So this is where you can order your hardware to set it up on your machine. Right now, what we're interested in, we need Nmap. That's going to come in handy. And these programs here, what we're going to do is we're going to save these in your root directory and bin in your binary files. Reason being is if I'm on my terminal, no matter where I'm at, I'm not in my root my bin folder right now, but I can still run this program now from any directory that I'm in. If I have it in a certain other directory, I actually have to be in that directory in order to run that. So by putting it into your binary folder, it allows it to be universal. No matter where you're in, you can run that program. So these are different servers that you can get. Wallet, you can get into cryptocurrency and coin creations and stuff that's a little bit more advanced. Stocks, exploit report tool to report vulnerabilities in system libraries. So really all we want to get from here is the Nmap. And then now that our computer's set up, we're connected to the internet, we have a email address, we have a bank account, we have Nmap, we've gone over the hardware and a few of the different menus. Now it's time to visit this website. So we get a little suspicious here. I'm watching you. Do we really want to visit this website? No, maybe not. Who knows? Let's do it anyway. You can just type that right up in your browser bar. And this brings us to the hack shop. So in the hack shop, we have some different areas. It's got tools. It's got different exploits. We can search for your different versions and exploits, jobs, and for different events in multiplayer. Users can create your own capture the flag missions. What I'm going to do with this site right away, though, if you click this star right here and add current, it's going to bookmark it. That way you always have your hack shop because this is going to be a go-to. So first things first, we want to get some tools. We are going to get admin monitor. So at first I use coupons. You know what? I'm not even going to start off with admin monitor right now because that goes into a couple later missions. We are going to get Decipher. Again, Decipher is a binary. It's going into your bin folder. And these are just the basics. We're going to take these programs here and expand on them a little bit in our own custom ways in upcoming videos. But for right now, I just want to stick to the basics. Scan library. This can scan for vulnerabilities. You know what? I don't need that right now. Scan router. That's always a good one to have. This will give you your kernel router version and if there's any firewall entries on a router. Again, that's going to our binary. Sniffer, don't need that right now. I'm going to save the coupons and money. We have our shell server and our shell interface. This will be in a little bit more advanced tutorials running a reverse shell. So if there's no ports open on a computer, you can get them to install a little bit of malware where you can actually run a reverse shell and gain access to either a user shell on that computer. Then you can escalate to root. But let's not worry about that right now. What we do need is metaexploit.so. So we need this library. And anything.so, these are your different libraries, which we're going to store in our library file. Crypto.so, this goes along with your Decipher program. widget's already there. So, okay. And this is you. Okay. So basically we're set up now. We have our nmap or decipher our scan router, and then we got our meta exploit and crypto.so in our library. So we visited the hack shop. We have water. Now that we have our tools installed, the only thing left to do is now take on a basic job. So it's going to give you here reputation 1, reputation 0. It's going to tell you what level of jobs you can take. If you click your preferences up here in your user, you can see where we are. We're level 0 right now. So we can only take jobs that have a level 0. So let's take a look. Client wants to change some grades in his academic record. Well, why don't we help client out? So you can click on that. It's going to tell you what they want to do. It's going to tell you how much money you're going to make. You can accept that. And you will get an email received. So the client wants to change some grades in his academic record. The remote IP of the victim is this. And the LAN address where the database is located is this. If you cannot access directly, you can try to access through the teacher's computer in the local network. The record to modify belongs to Gani M. Sonso. Client wants to modify the subject mathematics to change the note to approved at least. All right. So first things first, we're going to load our terminal. I'm going to start off with our nmap, and we're going to run that on the public IP. Gani Grammy. So it is going to show us some different serve ports that are open here and on what LAN machines they're on. So this one here has 2 open SQL ports. This one here has 2 open SQL ports, and this one here has 2 open SQL ports. So really we can take our pick, probably pick one of these here. In order to do this right off the bat, we're going to go to our hack shop. We're going to go to exploits, and we're going to look for a library or SQL, because anything 3306, 3307, anything that has a database, employee database, student database, that's an SQL database. So it's going to be an SQL export. Single player, everything's a version starting off is 1.0.0, and we're going to hit search. So right here, it gives us a bunch of exploits where we can overflow the buffer based on different memory and values. So what we want to do is we want to get access to a shell with remote use. So by clicking on, let's start on the first one and read. It's going to get us access to a root shell, but requirements is any user logged in the computer. So chances of a user being logged in the computer right now is pretty slim. So we're going to keep looking at the next one. Get access to a shell. We're going to get a non-root user, and there's a lot more dependencies. So any logged in plus 2 port forwarding configured from the router to the target computer. No, thank you. Gain access to a shell remote use. 2 port forwarding. Again, we can get a guest shell. That's an option. You have very limited options when you're on guest, but you never know until you get in there. Depends how they have their system set up. Guest shell with a lot of dependencies, no thank you. Print the remote contents of the file. So what we could possibly do is get into a guest shell, see what we got. If we can't get around, we might have to use another exploit in order to get a password. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Password, disable its contents, suspend 3 ports forwarded. Okay. Another thing we can do is scan router at that address. And it's giving us a kernel router version of 1. So we can do a kernel router version of 1.0 and see what we got here. This is going to give us a guest shell. Change the firewall entries. Print password. And print with binaries. That's not going to help us at all. Right, so you know what? Just to move forward a little bit, let's grab this exploit. I always get the source code version. Why is it not buying it? Go. I like to keep things organized, so let's do a new folder. Let's do exploits. New folder. Let's do SQL. Folder 1.0.0. And we'll call this guest shell. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll navigate to our home, infinite, exploits, SQL 1.0, guest shell, and we'll run that on this IP address. Right. This is a source file. So we actually need to compile it into a binary. So guest shell. You can compile it by clicking that little play button up there. Now that we have that, we can run that. So use guest shell. Oh, the port. We're going to run on 3306. Right. So just like that, we now have guest access on this computer. We can see if we can. Very unlikely, but let's try to cat the password file. And it actually has that. So always in your etc password, it's going to have your different users, so you can see the different users on the computer as well as their password hash. So this computer actually has 1, 2, 3 users and root. Root is always what we're after. We always want to escalate to root. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hash right here, copy it. Let's open our terminal, hit decipher, and decipher that hash. right. The original decipher, you can't just decipher the hash like that. So I'm going to go to, let's go to Notepad. Let's throw a hash in. Let's save this as, let's do tutorial. Save this as to decipher. So now we can go to decipher. So decipher. So tutorial to decipher. So now I'm going to read that file and decipher any hashes that's in it. Again, it's running really slow because it is the hardware in the computer here is just our starting hardware. That'll get a little bit faster as we go. Let's go 100. Boom. All right, so password found. Beat. Let's go. So what we can do here, now that we're a guest, we do know the root password, so we can escalate to root by going sudo-s. It's going to ask for our password, which is beat. Now you can see we switch from guest to root. We can do File Explorer, and we can see what's on this computer that we're on. And really what it wants us to do is Ganny sucks at math, and we're going to have to fix that for them. Oh, I love these pictures. Oh my God. So we're going to go through our student database. Oh my God. What is this? Oh boy. I love the names too. There we go. Ganny. Math got a 3.6 out of 10. So I change it to approval at least. Let's give him a 7.6. We're going to save that. We'll just reply to this email and send it. And the customer is satisfied with your job. There's been an income to your account. So I can delete this email now. I can exit the database. But before we exit out of everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the root directory. I'm going to go into our system.log, and we're going to delete the one that says shell obtained. We're going to keep the connection established, because once you disconnect, it's going to say disconnected. And if there's no connection established and just a disconnect, that's a little bit suspicious. So I don't care if it says connection established, as long as it doesn't say that we obtained a shell. So anybody can connect without obtaining a shell. So that's fine to leave. Don't delete that one. Delete anything else underneath of it, but leave your original established connection, as well as when you exit, it's going to leave your disconnected. Now we can exit out of here. We can exit out of here. We're back to our, we can close that off. We can clear, close our email. Tutorial to decipher. And now if we go to our browser and we go to our bank account, you can click on anyone, it doesn't matter, log in, check your bank. We now have $220. So that's the basics from getting started, connecting to your Wi-Fi, getting the programs on, making your email, making your bank account and walking through the very first mission just to get a little feel of what this game is about and how to get started. That's going to be it for this first tutorial. As we go, we're going to do a couple more missions. We're going to level up. We're going to get a little more advanced until we get into a little bit of custom scripting. There's going to be ones where there's no ports that are open. There's going to be a whole bunch of different scenarios we're going to get into, but that's basically how you get it set up and started, and we'll see you next video.